Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're marvellous and tickety-boo. I'm coming to you from the same day as the other day, you know what I mean? But there may have been a couple of other videos in between. For a change, I'm starting out today's video. I'm sort of partly in the shade. If I sit back, I'm in the shade, just leaning forward so you can see me, of one of our lovely big apple trees in the communal orchard. There's a reason I'm at the end of this end of the allotment. Yes, so as you saw in the last video, I was still cracking on, getting through my list. I'm really nearly getting there. Hopefully that will stop in a minute. There's always building work going on somewhere. Anyway, yes, so today, what's my priority? My priority is I'm going to be planting up the deck. And do you remember I was mentioning, I don't know when, maybe a week or so ago, about the grow bags that Bernadette had sent me? Thank you so much, Bernadette. Well, here is one of them. You'll probably hardly be able to see in this, like you'll see it better when we're on the deck. It's very curious. I've never had one of these before. It's almost like a sort of a felt. And now here comes an aeroplane. You can't get a moment's peace and quiet. Yeah, it's almost like felt. So I don't... I thought this would be a nice peaceful spot to come to. You're going to come in here a second. I'm just going to take you off the tripod if I can with this quick release. I don't want to alarm because, oh, wobble, I've got company. It's so sweet. You know, our little feral cat. Oh, sorry, excuse, this is really bad camera work, but I just want to show you. There's my little friend George. My little feral, I call him George. Obviously he's a feral cat, he doesn't have a name. But yeah, he's just been sitting here with me quietly in the shade. George! Oh, I sounded like Mildred from George and Mildred then, didn't I? Right. As I was saying, hang on, let me bring you back around. Hopefully all of that noise will abate for a minute. I'm going to try and get you back on the tripod. With this new camera, I've got a new quick release plate. Quick release my backside. Okay, so I think this, whatever this is, sorry, you're getting reflection of my glasses, it's probably going to go on all afternoon, so we just have to do our best to ignore it. But yes, the reason I'm at this end of the plot is because I'm going to get some compost, because I don't have enough to do the planting I want to do this afternoon. On the way there, I'm going to explain about our communal compost and why I don't normally use it. So come on, let's go and get some compost. We'll leave George in peace under the tree. Do you know, I so want to just get on the floor and go and give him a little stroke, but I'm not going to because he is feral. This is his space. I'm not going to impose myself on him. I don't want to give him a fright, and I don't want to risk having him defend himself and scratch me or bite me, because goodness knows what he may have. But more importantly, he's just having a peaceful 5 minutes, isn't he? He doesn't need some great clunking big human like me coming along and fussing him. Right, compost. Just before I go off to get my compost, I thought I'd give you a look at how our fruit is coming on. I love how this side that's facing the sun is starting to get a lovely pink blush to it. But there's tons and tons of fruit this year. Last year we had, hardly a thing. But this year, loads and loads and loads and loads. I mean, just look at them all. Oh, we're going to have such a good harvest. We will get our apple press out and make ourselves some beautiful juice or cider, you never know. Actually, on the day that I lost my camera, I was doing some filming down here because we did quite a lot of work in the orchard. But what I want to show you today, well, it's kind of a bit of a leftover of that. This is a big, well, it's gotten quite small. You can see how big it was. This is a pile of wood chips we had delivered. One of my plot neighbours basically accosted a man in the street. I think he must have had a t-shirt or something with his company's name on, and she said, oh, can we get some wood chips, please? And he said, yes, you certainly may. So I've used a load of these to redo the path between me and my neighbour. So that's been great. But eventually what we want to happen is, this is our old composting system. There's one in there, there's this one, and then right into the corner, and this is where I'm going to try and get some today. But they've never really worked very well because, yeah, I'm going to get stuck in and take some from that. They've never worked very well because, frankly, they're just too big. They're too big, we can't turn them, they're hard to access. So the committee have decided, and I think it's a good decision, to decommission them, and then eventually when they're empty, then we can use these areas as sort of storage bins for wood chips and what have you. Now, I did mention that I don't use this compost normally. When I first took on a plot, I did get a couple of barrows full, and I think that's how I ended up with bindweed on my plot. Because unfortunately, I mean, I understand, but people generally use this as a dump. It's, you know, their garden rubbish, it's the stuff they don't compost themselves. So it's been full of perennial weeds. Now, the reason I'm risking it this time is because it will be contained within my little grow bags. So I'm not too concerned about any weeds that come, because I'll be able to manage them. When we got this, we also got, that's really quite a small one, but we also got with it 4 really quite chunky logs. So me and one of the other girls, we've taken them over to, we have a sort of wildlife, a pond area, at the back of which we pile up logs to just quietly rot and decompose, because they are great for, amongst myriad other things, our beautiful stag beetles. So yeah, it was a really good effort on that day with the community, doing lots of work in here. This is all our sort of communal fruit. Some newer trees have gone in. All of this was really overgrown by, as you can see at the top there, a massive buddleia. It had taken over completely. Oh, I just spotted a couple of apples right up there. That'll be tall girl apples. Yeah, so this is all being massively cut back, and we'll get another really big cut back, right through into there, over in the autumn, sort of winter. The plum tree, oh my goodness, this plum tree does so well. It's always laden with fruit. Actually, let me show you from the other side in the light. Yeah, it's always laden with fruit, but we always get those horrible little bugs in them that spoil them so much. You have to sort of nibble around all the bugs. But yeah, tons and tons of fruit up there. Okay, oh joy, that noise. Like I said, I think it's going to be all afternoon, so I'm just going to shut up complaining about it and go and get my compost and get on with things and let George enjoy his little afternoon siesta in the shade. Oh, he must be related to Rusty. Hey buddy. Oh, he's still so wary, but he does let me come within a few feet, and he chooses to come within a few feet of me. Cutie. Right, compost. This is my last bit of chaos to deal with. Once all this is planted up, that should be all my planting done. You have to excuse the noise in the background. One of my neighbours has decided that this is the only possible time to do any tree surgery. Anyway, the point is, one of the reasons I'm pushing on to get these things done today is, when I was mentioning earlier about there being light at the end of the tunnel, once all this planting is done, then I will be firmly into the territory of tinker time, where I can think about things like harvesting, tying in, weeding, just taking it all a little bit more slowly. Oh, and the last thing, of course, is all the brassicas in the cold frame still to be pricked out. But yeah, once this is done today, the next lot of planting will not be until the end of, where are we looking at now? The end of July, when both lots of onions come out and brassicas go in. Okay, let's crack on and try and ignore that noise, that horrid noise, as best we can. So, first things first, if you remember, I direct sowed some chocolate in here. Oh, that's going to be so irritating. Oh, can we ignore it? Let's try and ignore it. I direct sowed some chocolate in here. I started a couple at home, which would be high with the Taunton Dean. I just checked as well on the plate, and that's now about that big. They're all doing really well. I do not. I've got one spare, so I thought I'm going to take one of these out if I possibly can, because I want to put something else in here at the front. If this doesn't work, not to worry, that's the other one that I've got spare. I'm basically planning on giving someone. So, did I get enough fruit out? Oh, hopefully. Soil everywhere, never mind. I think I might put that in a slightly more shady spot in a minute, just because I don't want it to wilt having been removed like that. Okay, so now I need to get my chamomile planted. These are the prickings I did about 4 weeks ago. Look, I mean, they're in flower. They're going to be over before I know it. But they're a perennial, so I'm hoping that, you know, even though they're looking pretty weedy and straggly this year, that come next year in the spring, you know, whichever ones have survived, I can transplant to somewhere in the herb bed, like in the areas where I've got calendula this year to fill gaps. Hopefully I can fill with chamomile. So I thought 1, 2, 3 in there, couple in my bucket. Oh, I'm covered in soil. Yeah, and then I've also got, this was a little cluster. If you remember the other day when I was planting the dill, this was the little cluster that had barely germinated the day when I was pricking out. So they're going to go in the bucket. 1, 2, 3 in there, those in the bucket with a couple more. So I think we'll just pop a couple in here. The achocha will bush out massively, but it's definitely going to be aiming for the fence, so it shouldn't be an issue. I should just say as well that here where I've got the obelisk, do you remember at the back I planted some loofah, and then at the front I planted the sweet peas? Well, the loofah really were not doing anything. So, because I've got the 3 loofah out on the teepees, I decided, right, they can come out, something else can go in, but because the sweet peas have started climbing away, I've turned the whole pot around so the sweet peas are sort of at the back. So at the front, there's light for the things I'm going to put in there. So, what have we got? We'll have that little one in the bucket, and then that little clump of, I'm not even going to try and separate them, I'm just going to whack it all in. It can live and be as a clump. any of these cells, as always, where I've got cells with a bit of compost where nothing's germinated or something's germinated and then been had by the slugs or snails, it'll all just get tipped out onto various veg beds as mulch. Such beautiful little flowers, and the foliage, oh, just handling them now, the scent that comes off, it's so fresh and summery, and probably because I associate the smell with drinking chamomile tea, which is one of my favourites. It's a bedtime drink for me. It's a nice chill out. I associate it with being relaxed. It's having to work particularly hard to relax me at the moment with the noise. Now, they're in good. I'm actually going to I'm going to shake my fist in a minute. I'm going to move these out of the way completely for now, because the main thing to get going on the deck today is my grow bag. Let's pop that a chotcha in the shade. It's the grow bag for my lovely du long de londe French peppers. So they're another sweet pepper. They're a beautiful sort of long tapering red pepper with sort of slight ripples as they taper down. And I was trying to describe them last year, and the only way I could think to describe them was it looks like a leg that's got a stocking on it, and the stocking's sort of starting to fall down a bit. So I've got a few to go here in this hugel culture with the sweet peas. I don't think there's any conflict of interest between peppers and sweet peas. I'm not sure, because I've never had successful sweet peas before. I've never bothered to look up what they're good as companions with, or more's the point, bad as companions with. I've got a really great little book. I've had it for years. No idea where it came from. Probably a charity shop. And it's a companion planting guide. But what I like about it is, because I think most of us know about our companion plants of, sort of marigolds, nasturtiums, that sort of thing. But what I like about this book is it also talks about bad companions, which is really useful to know. In fact, it was that book, it was about 3 years ago, was the first time I started growing my parsnips and carrots separately. And it's interesting because I'd always grown them together, a couple of rows of carrots, a couple of rows of parsnips, and each year I would either have great carrots and rubbish parsnips, or great parsnips and rubbish carrots. And I can't remember why. I think I was probably not looking it up so much as just browsing this book one particular evening, and it said to not ever plant them together, and I thought, oh goodness me. So ever since then, actually it's probably more like 4 or 5 years ago, ever since then I've always grown them apart from each other. And ever since then, apart from last year when I had rubbish parsnip germination and rubbish carrot germination, rubbish year last year, full stop, but ever since then I've had great harvests of both simultaneously. So yeah, it's always worth, check out your library for that sort of thing. It's an interesting, fascinating subject anyway, and doing a bit of research, finding a bit of stuff out, it may just save you a little bit of heartache further down the line. But like I say, for now, I've got no idea what sweet peas are good or bad with, so fingers crossed. Now, let's set up this grow bag. This is going to be so weird for me growing in a bag, but yeah, looking forward to this. Let's give it a go. Right, well, I'm hoping if I set up here, just next to the my little mini hugel, that it will mean I'll still have room for my deck chair, maybe slightly, oh, I don't know, will it fit? It's so weird. I feel like I'm planting my shopping. So this is some of the communal compost. This has probably been composting for, or been crushed for 5, 6 years plus. And like I said, I don't actually want to use it in my garden at all, not even as a mulch, because, well, apart from the massive rocks in it, I know that it's absolutely full of weed seed. We actually just used a load of it to fill in a hole on a vacated plot, and I think we filled it in about 2 months ago, and it's already an absolute mess of weeds. So yeah, I'm not going to use it on my plot. I'm not that desperate. I certainly don't want to use it and give myself problems. But in the bag, I'm not so concerned because you know, I can deal with it in situ. Put it this way, things won't spread. So enough. Oh, I've got a little bit more in the shed. Actually, let me go and get a little bit more compost. I'm sure I was mentioning this when I was doing my mini hugel cultures. These things get really heavy once they're filled. That, I reckon, has taken, a good 20, well, probably 30 litres of compost. It's going to be heavy, so make sure they're in the place that you want them before you fill them. And I've just realised this label here, is that going to annoy me? It probably is. Oh. There we go. That's better. It's on a jaunty angle. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, I can't wait to see how this works, how it grows. I've got to say though, wow, I know that there are some of you who have no choice but to be container gardeners because you've got a yard, you know, a paved yard, that sort of thing. But my goodness, you must spend a fortune, an absolute fortune on compost every year. It's like, I know a lot of folk grow potatoes in containers. Yeah, absolute fortune. And then of course there's the whole thing of keeping them wet, isn't there? So I know you must spend hours and hours and hours watering your containers. Anyone who successfully grows veggies in containers, hats off to you, because honestly it must be such hard work. I've got one straggler. Look at the state of it, it's pathetic. I did select a few nice ones to give away. So for example, my friend Gary, who you often hear me talk about, all of his peppers have been wiped out. So I've tried to see him right with a few. I'll keep this little straggler. I'll see if it can come back to life at all, and if it does, I'll pass it on to Gary, or you know, anyone else for that matter. Let's face it, everyone's having a struggle this year, aren't they? Oh my goodness. So this is more of the du long de l'onde French peppers. Absolutely beautiful. Now here's an interesting thing with the seeds. I first had this seed about, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so ago, and I think I sowed about 20, of which, maybe 3 germinated. Since then I've saved my own seed, but I was actually given some more of that seed from the same company, but new seed. So this year I sowed about 20 of my saved seed, and about another, getting on for 20, I think it was like 15 or 18 seed from the seed company. The seed companies, I had one germinate. All of mine germinated. So I don't say that in a braggarty way. I don't mean like, oh, aren't I brilliant? I don't mean that at all. I just mean I think it's quite interesting that, I mean, I know I'm having issues with my bean germination, but generally this year where I've sowed my own saved seed and some fresh seed, I'm thinking like the flint corn is a perfect example, my own seed has come good, with the shop bought seed hasn't. So I'm continually speculating that that's because my own seed has acclimatised. Oh, just while I'm here, before I move on to the trough, this is my spare achocha that I'm giving away. But it's been in this little pot since, when did I sow? February. So it's not going to be given away for a few days yet. I've got some friends visiting with me at the plot in a week or so. This is for them. So let's pop it in a little bit of a bigger pot, and hopefully it'll perk up a bit. But yes, I think I've got 2 spare squash, that pathetic straggler of a pepper. That's it. Last thing on the deck for now is to get some geraniums in my little trough, and some of the other geraniums that have been sitting outside the shed forever, plonk those here as well. I hardly dare to believe that I might be done. Yeah, let me get these geraniums in the trough. I can't speak for excitement. I'm going to get the geraniums in the trough, and then I'm going to have another little scan around the garden to make sure I'm not missing something. Yay! Oh, it's getting warmer by the minute. I've just about finished getting all the last bits of planting done on the deck. Some of the geraniums have come down from the shed, and the best bit is yay! The deck is back on the deck chair. Oh, that must mean that Wimbledon's nearly here. Oh, what a relief to get everything planted. So look, there's the lovely little chamomiles and some geraniums in the back, and the peppers in with the sweet peas, which are flowering beautifully, and I'm regularly deadheading to bring more flowers on. That's the peppers in the grow bag. These are some spares and some bits to give away, but never mind any of that. Oh, and I should just say as well, to have a little look at my blueberry bushes. They're looking really well. They looked a little bit sad and battered when they arrived in the post, but I've been saving my water butt water for watering them, rainwater, and they look grand. As does the Taunton Dean behind it. Actually, do you remember the other day I was saying a couple of branches, as it were, sheared off? Well, one of them had a little shoot in its sort of in the axle between the leaf and the stem. So I gave it to Sheena to make a cutting from. You know what's going to happen now, don't you? Coming round, coming round, coming round. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, it's blustery, gustery. Oh. Oh. Fantastic. Hold on, let me get comfy. I'm back in my natural habitat. All I need now is to get my radio down here so I can lie back in the sun and listen to Wimbledon. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. It feels like it's taken forever to get to this stage this year. Why, oh why, oh why. Whew. But that's it. Planting's done. I've got a couple of biggish jobs, and then there's just all the wonderful little tinker jobs. So one of my tinker jobs, prick out those last bits of brassicas. I will be doing, and it'll probably be the next video. Actually, no, the next video you see will probably be the tour. Then after that, I'm going to do a video on all my flowers and herbs with some cares and some harvesting. Oh, what else is coming up? So the biggest jobs are, I need to turn my compost heap. So it's been going down really, really well. And what I'm thinking and hoping is that the bottom half of what's in there will be quite well composted. So the plan is I'm going to hopefully hoik it out and get it on top of some of the beds where I've got bare soil to act as a mulch. And of course, I'm adding compost. There won't be a huge amount. I'll probably, if I get one bed done, I'll be lucky. But probably something like, say, the chickpea bed, because there won't be much spread of leafage in that bed. So that's a big job to do. And then my other big job, I really, really got to get on top of this now, is to go to our communal burn pile to go scavenging for those branches I saw a few weeks ago, which have now been well and truly buried by other burn rubbish. But I really need to get a scavenge on in that pile to find some supports to put in with my tomatoes. I've never left it this late to put tomato supports in before, ever. Oh dear. Anyway, the point is, never mind that, I'm in my deck chair, yay! The sun's shining, yay! It's Wimbledon soon, yay! Actually, by the time you see this, when will this video go out? Yeah, it's Thursday today. You won't see this video until Tuesday, and Wimbledon will have started. I've got a lovely, lovely month lined up in terms of visiting with friends and family and having visits here. Bring it on. If we have days like today, it would be absolutely perfect. And you know, we work so hard in our gardens, don't we? I know we all do. We work so hard for every morsel of food we grow. It's really, really important at times to stop. Just stop. Get your deck chair out. And from where I am, I'm not going to turn you around again because I don't want to spin you and give you seasickness, but from where I am here in my deck chair, my view is, I'm looking now, it's lavender full of bees. The scabious has had butterflies dancing on it all day. So yeah, get your deck chairs out, folk. Have a moment in your gardens of doing nothing but just lapping it all up. I think I'm going to fall asleep. Night night. Bliss. Cheerio for now, everybody. I will see you again really soon, next time with the tour. In the meantime, stay well, take care of yourselves, and grab your moments whenever you can. Bye for now.